Hi all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Brittany. I'm in Garden Zone 6A in upstate New York. So today I'm going to take you with me to dig up and store my dahlia bulbs. I have about 4 raised beds behind me, so we're going to go ahead and I do recommend to use a pitchfork. I have a shovel. I'll just try to be careful because all of these dahlias grew from one bulb and now will be in large clumps. So you want to take care not to slice them, but I'll kind of show you that when I go through and dig them up. But again, I am in Garden Zone 6A. It is the first week of November. We just had our first frost about a week ago. So I normally wait a week or two after the first frost to go ahead and get out here to dig them up. You can see they've all turned this like really dark brown, sadly. I'm glad I got one more arrangement out of them right before Halloween, which was really, really nice. But yeah, we're going to dig them up. And then how I like to store my dahlias is I like to wash them. And then I'll let them dry, and then I will divide them now in the fall. For me, I just prefer that because then going into spring, less work for me as I'm kind of like kicking off my garden. And then we'll go ahead and store them in plastic containers with a combination of both wood chips and vermiculite. I have found, I think the first year I stored them in just wood chips, and I did find that they got a little bit moldy. So for me, adding that vermiculite just kind of helps with the moisture and kind of balance it out in there. And then I store mine in my basement. You want to store them somewhere where you have about 40 to 50 degrees variable. Definitely don't store them anywhere that you think could freeze. So any garage, typically, again, for me, it's my basement. We have an old Victorian house, so it's kind of like the perfect temperature down there all winter for these babies. So yeah, I'll go ahead and get started. I'll take you on the journey of digging them up. First, I do go ahead and cut them all down, which I'll show you. And then, yeah, we'll go ahead and dig them up and get going. Okay, so this year I used stakes to hold up my dahlias. So I'm just going to slowly pull those out and make a pile. What's so great is I can reuse these next year. Let me go ahead and find them. There we go. And then I just wanted to show you too. So essentially the first thing I do is really just go through and cut them down. So I'm going to chop this here. And you can see I'm going to leave almost like a handle. So that helps me pull them out of the ground as I dig them up. And I'm just making a pile over here for compost. So we're going to go ahead and cut this one next. So sad to say bye-bye to these dahlias right now. I do have larger cutters I could use too, but you can see that this is almost like a handle. So really, that's just going to allow us to, right there, pull them out of the ground really easily. So I'm going to go ahead and go through and cut them all down. So I want to bring you a little closer. This bed is only half a bed of dahlias. Also hilarious. Gotta return this to Owen. He lost Rocky in the garden bed. So kind of how I like to dig up is I'm going to go ahead and kind of try to stick to the outside. So you're going to dig down and just kind of make a circle around it, like a pretty large circle, because you don't know how much they've spread or what direction they've kind of grown their clump in. So I like to just dig like a pretty good circle around it. And then what you want to try to do is just lift it up from underneath. So we're going to go ahead and make a pretty large circle all the way around. Just really kind of loosen that soil on the outside. And then what I'm going to do is, again, just try to dig down. And then we're going to start to like lift back. So we're going to lift it up. So again, you can kind of go in from this side angle and just lift. And go in from this side angle and give it a good lift. And then you can try to start to wiggle it and see how it feels. I'm going to kind of keep going over here. Really want to loosen that up around it. All right. So it's still pretty rough. So you can kind of also just use your hand and slowly start to, try to uncover them as well. So I can see already that it's spread all the way out to here. So I'm going to be careful as I'm digging up and under. You can kind of feel it loosening as well. There we go. So you're just going to pull it up. You're just going to give it a couple of shakes to try to get some dirt off so you can see what's happening here. Yeah, this is a really wonderful example of how large these clumps can grow. Let me go ahead and kind of like pull that back. Oh, we got a little worm friend in here. Got a couple worm friends. All right, so I'm going to shake it off, but this is pretty large. So you can see that one dahlia tube actually grew quite significantly. So this is a pretty good sized clump. So I'm going to start making a pile of these to really wash the dirt off. I'm going to try to shake a little bit more off naturally. And then we'll go ahead and add this to the pile to start washing. And then I'll show you exactly how to divide them and dry them as well. Okay, so this is 2 beds worth of dahlias. And again, it's so wild how crazy they multiply. These all started as one single tuber and they've grown to very, very large clumps. So I'm going to take this first load and just really start to wash them. It's funny, this is actually a drying rack that my husband built me. It was hanging from my ceiling so I could dry flowers, but now it's kind of a nice tool to use to really wash off the dahlias, but then allow them to dry. So I'll kind of hang it between my chairs on my patio so that it has complete airflow coming from underneath. So the dahlias have a lot of room to just really dry out after I wash them. So go ahead and get started with that. Also, Cosmo is having a wonderful moment in the sun. Hi, bud. You just basking in the sunlight? You're falling asleep. Hi, buddy. He's outside today helping in the garden. Violet's gone down for her nap, so it's really peaceful time out here to have a mom break and get in the dirt and clean up the garden for spring. All right, so I'm really gonna get in here and start rinsing these off. I might just give them a first good spray down, and then from there I will go ahead and wash them, like kind of pick them up one by one, but I'm just gonna go ahead and get like a base layer spray going and really clear off the dirt and see what's happening. After I wash them off, it's also a good time to check for any like gall or disease within the tubers, because you're going to want to discard those and keep them separate, of course, from your other dahlias. But yeah, we'll go ahead and get this initial spray down going. Some of these are pretty tightly like close together, so you really want to pick them up one by one and go through as well. But this initial cleaning just feels so nice to really see the growth and the change that happened. All right. And luckily, we have a beautiful sunny day. You definitely want to do this on a day where the air is dry, there's no rain in the forecast, so that they can really, you know, air dry outside afterwards. All right. So I'm just going to pick up one to show you. But you can see like there's still a good amount of dirt underneath. So what I like to do is just kind of like come in and like really get in there and make sure that, you know, you don't want to have too much pressure where like they break, but you want to be able to really get in there and clean them off. All these little like roots, you know, we'll cut those off after, but I'm just trying to get the initial cleanup going. And then once they're dry, we'll check again for any like disease or damage. Like this one's pretty damaged. We'll probably have to get rid of him, but the rest of them are looking pretty healthy and good. All right, so we've cleaned off like a pretty good amount of dirt, and this one's looking good. So we'll kind of put him on there to, again, just start to dry out. Also, I feel like every time I film, it is the windiest day on earth. Cosmo's not a fan of the wind today. Hi, buddy. Okay, so we are all dug up except for a few on the rock bed. So I'm really excited to give them a moment to dry, and then we'll go ahead and divide them in a little bit. And I'll kind of show you how I do that, and then we'll show you how you layer them into the bins for storage as well. So let me just give you a quick tour of all the bulb haul that I have. So this got a bit more full, so did that, but yeah, a pretty good haul from the 4 raised beds, and I'm really excited to put these in storage and can't wait to see them bloom next year. Okay, so we've let them dry for 24 hours and now I'm gonna go ahead and start dividing them, which I'll show you. And again, I have some of these. I have some deeper ones too, but these are really the storage containers that I'm gonna use. So I'm gonna do a layer of these like pine shavings here. So I'll kind of layer those in the bottom. And then I do sprinkle in vermiculite as I go as well. I found that it really helps with like the moisture and kind of keep that in control during storage. So we'll kind of do a mix of the two. We'll go ahead and get started and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. Okay, so I'm just gonna layer it in here to show you. But yeah, we're just gonna do our base layer for the dahlias, the first layer dahlias bulbs to sit on. And then again, I'm just gonna go through with this vermiculite in the bag. And I just like to kind of like sprinkle it in. So we're just gonna mix that into like the layer with the for the first layer. Okay, so I have my first layer where I can start kind of like layering the bulbs in. But I just did some pine shavings and again that layer, kind of a little layer of vermiculite mixed in as well to help with moisture. Okay, so this is a good example here. I'm going to start dividing these. This is a smaller clump. Luckily, I have some really big ones that I know are going to be a challenge, but you want to make sure to include, and I'm going to trim all these like roots off shortly, but you want to make sure to include like this one right here. You can see it has a body, it has a neck here, and then this is the crown as well. But you can also see, I'm going to see if I can get in here. This is an eye. So you can see the eye forming here. So this is a great one. I did just clean off my shears and I'm going to use them to divide, but certainly important to do that kind of between the different dahlias in case there is any like gall or like fungus growing on them as well. Okay, so we're going to just kind of go in here again with my scissors and my flower shears, and I'm going to chop this off a little bit more. Really just kind of start to divide it. So I'm going to try to get in here. Separate it from the other one as well. Okay, perfect. So yeah, again, you have the body, you have the neck, the crown, and then we have an eye forming. So this is a good one. I can chop this root off and we're gonna go ahead and put that one in there. So move on to our next one. And it's funny that you can actually see that this is the original bulb. You can see that it was labeled with Sharpie here, and all of these other bulbs came from just the growth of the season. So really exciting to have that. So I'm going to just start to divide these here. You will lose some along the way and you're not going to be able to keep them all, but it is nice to, yeah, I'm going to chop that off. So as I'm layering them in the box too, you're going to want to keep space between them. So I'll probably do like 3, 3, 3, 3, depending on the size of the bulbs. I'm try to get our original friend out of here. Don't think this one's going to be a go. So, all right. You know, I think a lot of this is trial and error too. Like I've had ones where I didn't directly see an eye, but then, you know, come spring, they did end up sprouting. It is a little hard to see the eye right now in all of them just because we are in the fall too. So, all right, so we'll go to our next one. And again, here you can see there is an eye here. So we're gonna go ahead and try to pull that one out. And this is my original bulb. And then all 4 of these grew as extra. So we've got our first layer in there. So now I'm gonna go ahead and layer in some more wood shavings so that we can do another layer on top of it. Go ahead and do that. There you go. And then I'm gonna sprinkle in again some more vermiculite to help with moisture. And then we'll start our next layer and divide some more. I get so excited when I have an easy one like this that only has 4 bulbs. They're beautifully spaced out, and yeah, we'll start dividing this one up. This one too, you can very clearly see like the eye forming on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and divide this one out. So, oops, and he's down. Luckily he's still fine. All right, so we're also gonna chop off, like I said, like these roots don't need to be here. But that has a really nice eye there. It has a crown, a neck, and a body, all in great shape. So we're gonna store that one. So when you get a bigger one like this, it can be hard to get in there. See how like close together this is? There's just some dirt stuck in there even. So what I like to do is just chop the top off, really let you get in there. And then sometimes I'll just slice it directly in half. But this one, I feel like I could probably do that, but you can also just start to work your way around. So like this one, we're gonna go ahead and cut him. I see an eye there. That one's good. And you can kind of work your way, you know, around and kind of taking pieces off. Or you could go the slice in half method too. That's always an option for sure. Let me see. Get this original one off. It's so funny to see like the discoloration in like the original bulb compared to the new ones. You can see kind of where they started from as you're going through. So this one might be toasted. There. All right. Dropping them is always great. All right, so I'm gonna come in here and chop a little bit more off the top. Here. It's a good one. All right, and now I've kind of run out of room in this bucket, so I'm gonna do a layer again of wood shavings and then a layer of vermiculite as well. Kind of start that second layer. I'm so sorry, I feel like I've been sniffling all of this video because I have a little cold right now. Per usual, I have 2 children that go to separate daycares and schools, so it feels never ending once fall hits for sure. All right, let's see, I'm gonna kind of come in here. This one looks like it has something going on down here. There are all these little roots. So sometimes you have to just choose. So I'm going to choose to salvage this one because it has a little eye right here. I'm going to kind of come in and separate them. And then clean off these roots that grow like crazy. Sometimes if I'm not fully sure if there'll be an eye, you know, save it anyways. And come springtime, you can always see kind of what has growth on it. So I'll play around with it. So I just wanted to pop back on and say thank you for joining me to dig, divide, and store my dahlias for the winter. I ended up dividing into the late hours last night. Since it gets dark at 5 o'clock now, I didn't want to film a cap to the video in the darkness, but thanks for joining. This solution has worked for me for the past 3 years. Again, that combination of wood shavings, vermiculite, and these plastic storage containers in my basement. But let me know down below like what works for you. In upstate New York, we had a really weird dahlia season. Personally, I think we had a really wet spring and a really hot summer, so it led to some of my dahlias not, you know, fully blooming, which is sad. So I hope to have a better season next year. I can't wait to get these babies back in the ground after the last frost towards the end of May here in Garden Zone 6A. So follow along, like, subscribe, and join. I'll be planting out some spring bulbs next week. I'm likely filming a video about that in both my raised beds and my rock garden. And then from there, you know, just continuing to grow my flower knowledge, try new things, and have you join me along the way. And I'll certainly report back any errors or trials that I have, but excited to, you know, continue my flower journey. I'll be putting out some holiday content too, likely with my kiddos and things like that too. So hope to see you and have you join us for the next one.